Well, good evening, welcome back to the channel. We're not in the Lake District or Scotland, we're in the house this evening. What I thought I'd do is, I've had a couple of people ask me about the Affric Kintail Way, and they're actually interested in doing it. So what I thought I'd do is, I put together a little video explaining kind of like the logistics and the ins and outs of what to book and the likes and the cost and what have you. I thought I'd do this rather than a what's in the bag kit video. Did one of them after the West Highland Way, and to be brutally honest, what I took this time is very, very similar to what I took last year on the West Highland Way. So I'll put a link to that video in the description below. So if you are interested in what was in my pack, then go and check that out. So in terms of the Affric Kintail Way, it's officially a 46 mile route, but it comes in more than that, about 52, 53 we clocked it at, between Drumnadrochit on the banks of Loch Ness, heading out west and finishing in or very near the small village of Morvich. So what I'll do is I'll start from the off. It is in the Northwest Highlands. It's a very, very, very long way from home, where I live on the Fylde coast. So what happened was we decided that we were going to go up in the one car. So Mossy, Walking Wild Camping UK fame, obviously joined me on this walk, so go and check out his videos. I'll put a link to them in the description below, as well as mine as well. You get a lot of information from them, and they're really, really good, even though I say it shouldn't. But yeah, go and check them out, links below. But yeah, so Mossy came to my house, we parked his car on my drive, and then we headed off on the long journey up to the Northwest Highlands. We left house about 5:20 in the morning, and eventually getting to our destination about 1:30 in the afternoon. So you can see it's a long way, over 300 miles. I think it was about 320 mile, I think, door to car park. So yeah, on the way we had 3 stops, a decent break at the services on the M74 for a bacon and sausage barm and a cup of coffee, and then we carried on and we got past Loch Lomond, and then we got up as far as Glencoe, and we stopped just before the King's House Hotel in the lay-by there for about 10-15 minutes, take some pictures, take in the views, remembering what we did last year on the West Highland Way. As I say, a couple of photographs, into the car, passing the Three Sisters car park, which was about 11 o'clock, and was absolutely rammed. There was no place at the inn in the Three Sisters car park. Granted, it was a bank holiday Monday, but at that time we were, even if we wanted to stop there, we couldn't have done. So we carried on. We got to Fort William about midday. We filled the car up, so we had enough petrol to get us all the way back on the way home, so we didn't have to stop. And we also popped into Morrison's to use the toilet, and I think we picked up a few bits of supplies. And then it was back in the car, and then the lovely drive up the A82, following the Great Glen Way, and arriving at our destination about 1:30. So like I said, we decided that we'd drive and park the car at the end of the trail. We thought that would be easier when we finished. So we parked the car at the end of the trail. Just before you get to the village of Morvich, you'll pass 2 buildings on your right hand side, Kintail Crafts and the Kintail Pitstop. 2 very well known places. You'll see a lot, if you've watched any Cape Wrath videos, people on the Cape Wrath trail pass there, even use the Kintail Crafts as a resupply, I think. So yeah, so keep your eye out for the Kintail Pitstop, and then just as you pass it, there's a road turn it a right turn, signposted I think Morvich. So you turn there, and then follow the road. It turns immediately left, and then on your left you'll see a walker's car park. I'll put the picture and the what three words on the screen, and I'll also put it down below in the description. But yeah, you're looking for that. There's room for about 6 cars, so we chose to park the car there, get all our kit ready for the off. We think we popped into the Kintail pit stop for a can of Iron Brew and a lovely piece of carrot cake before getting ready to stand there and wait for the bus to Drumnadrochit. So the bus to Drumnadrochit was the CityLink. Absolutely fantastic service, lovely clean buses. So the CityLink, you book it from Inverine 8 to Drumnadrochit. You book it online. I booked it online. It's a massive sum of £2, so really cheap. So yeah, book it from Inverine 8 to Drumnadrochit. As I say, book it online, but you can also pay the driver on the day. But obviously, depending on how busy the bus is, if you've got a booking, you will get on the bus before anybody who hasn't. So that's worth bearing in mind. We did this trail in the first week in May. I'd say the bus was half full, 2/3 full maybe. So we didn't have to book it in the end, but we had that safe in the knowledge that we had our seats booked. I'd say if you were in the summer, you might want to make sure you get it booked. Yeah, so the bus takes about an hour and 15 minutes. I'll put on the screen now the location of where you get the bus with the what three words. You stand on the corner, there's no bus stop, so you have to flag it down. It is just after a really sharp bend, so you need to be on the ball, because they'll come round, flying around that corner, and you need to be sticking your arm out as soon so he sees you and stops. So yeah, so once on the bus, takes an hour and 15 minutes, but believe you and me, that flies by, because you are just literally staring out the window at the most fantastic scenery. So yeah, it doesn't, as an hour and 15 minutes, it soon flies by. So yeah, so you've seen all the details, what three words, where to pick it up. As I say, I'll put a link in the description below to the CityLink website. But yeah, really easy, went so smoothly. That was my big concern of the organisation of getting to the start of the trail, was the bus situation at a place where I knew there was no bus stop, and you literally just had to stick your arm out. But in the end, it all went absolutely so smooth, it was unbelievable. So no need to worry at all. I forgot to say just one quick thing about the buses. They aren't very regular. They're different depending on what time of year. There'll be different times. There's only really 3 a day. When we did it, there was a bus at 10:30, a bus at 2:30, and a bus at 7:30. So we chose to go middle of the road, middle for diddle, and we took the 2:30, which got us into Drumnadrochit about 3:45. So arriving in Drumnadrochit, the first place you will come to, or you will see, the main place is Urquhart Castle, and then just past that on your left hand side is the Drumnadrochit campsite. That is one of the popular spots for people camping the night before they start the Affric Kintail Way. But we chose, on a couple of reasons really, we chose to stay in one Loch Ness hostel, which is a little hostel right in the town or village centre. The campsite is quite a way out of the village. In fact, it's a mile to the start of the trail from the campsite. The Loch Ness hostel, which we stayed in, literally 400 yards away from the start of the trail, and it's much more central and close to the amenities. So really can't recommend this place enough. It was £60 for the night, so it's £30 each. It was a twin room ensuite, absolutely brilliant bunk beds. I shotgun the top bunk, thought I was being clever, but after about 3 or 4 pints, realised that I'd have been better on the bottom bunk if I was honest. So yeah, so cannot recommend that place. The fella who ran it, lovely fella, and the facilities absolutely superb. So the first reason was it was close to the start of the trail, but the second reason was it's Scotland, doesn't matter what time of year, and we wanted to start the trail as dry as we possibly could. We didn't really want to be starting the trail with a heavy wet tent, and as it panned out, that's exactly what we would have done, because it did rain on the overnight, on the Monday night into the Tuesday morning. So that meant staying in the hostel, we could set off the start of the trail with a nice dry kit, no heavy wet tent, so it was perfect. So whilst the campsite will be much cheaper, probably half as cheap, I really would recommend one Loch Ness hostel. As I say, I'll put the link in the description below. Get it booked. If you're doing this trail, my one big piece of advice would be to stay in the hostel the night before you start. So next door to the hostel is the Drumnadrochit Deli. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But across the road is a pub called the Fiddler's Arms. Serves beer and basic takeaway food or eat-in food, just burger and chips and chicken and chips and the likes, but decent selection of beers. And then a little further down, out of the village centre, is the Loch Ness Inn. That's heading out, probably not too far from the campsite actually, so if you're staying on the campsite, the Loch Ness Inn's pretty close. Yeah, we had a few pints in there and then we headed back in readiness for a decent early night before we started the trail on the Tuesday morning. So yeah, in Drumnadrochit there's an Italian, a pizza place, I think there's an Indian, there's a Chinese, as I say, there's a Loch Ness Inn, there's a Fiddler's Arms, there's a co-op, so there's a good old fashioned co-op there for all your needs if you've forgot the last few bits of things that you need for the trail. Yeah, so everything you need's in Drumnadrochit, so a cracking little place. So that was it. That was back to the hostel and ready for the trail on the Tuesday morning. So Tuesday morning and the start of the trail. Slight drizzle in the air, but nothing too major. But it would have been enough to wet the tents, as I was saying earlier. So we started off with all nice dry kit. So you come out the Loch Ness hostel, turn left, and immediately next door is the fantastic Drumnadrochit Deli. They open at 8 o'clock, selling breakfast rolls, sausage, bacon, lawn sausage, black pudding, you name it. So they start serving rolls at 8 o'clock. The cafe, if you want to sit down and have something to eat, that doesn't open till about 9:30. So just bear that in mind. But yeah, so we decided to get a takeaway, and we took it back, and I think we ate it actually back in the hostel before we set off. So we got that. We also got a pie and a cake for our dinner. But also in there it sells, as I say, it sells breakfast rolls, it sells pies, pasties, sausage rolls, cakes, loads of sweets. It also sells gifts. So yeah, really good little place. Really recommend going in there and getting your bacon and sausage roll before heading off on the trail. So that was it, yeah. So handing the key back to the chap in the hostel, and away we went. And on our first day in the Affric Kintail Way, heading for the village of Cannock. So 16 miles later, we arrive at Cannock Camping. Fantastic campsite. I think it was £13 for the tent pitch for the evening. if you ring them up, or if you go online and want to pitch and want to book just a one-man tent, they say no need to book. They will always find room for a one-man tent. So if you're there, you go in and you're just taking your tent, you're just wanting to pitch your tent, there's no need to book. You just turn up, pay your money, jobs are good. And great facilities, fantastic facilities, a decent like lounge area where you can sit down on proper settees, plug sockets to charge anything that you want to charge. So very good toilet facilities, very good shower facilities, absolutely fantastic. For £13, cannot fault it. So yeah, really good. So that was Cannock camping. I'm just going to whiz through these. I'm not going to talk about the trail and what we did on the days, because if you watch the videos, or you've watched the videos, you'll see everything that we did. So I'm just going to talk about where we stayed and the logistics of where we stayed. So that was it. So that was the campsite at Cannock. But if you wander 10-15 minutes into the little tiny village, there is a bus bar there where you can get pizza, beers, and next door is I think it's a Go Local or something like that. It used to be a Spar years ago, but I think it's Go Local now. But they're just your local convenience store selling everything you really could want or need really for the trail. So if you need to stock up, there is a ideal opportunity. You can either do it in the evening, or you can do it as you go past the following morning. Yeah, nice little village is Cannock. Used to be a pub there called the Slater's Arms, but that's gone now. So so that was Cannock. Very nice little place, cracking campsite. Okay, getting towards the end of day 2, 14 mile further down the line. We had envisaged to pitch our tent near the River Affric car park. Now, all along the trail there are little areas where you can pitch tents just off the main tracks, little kind of areas within the trees. What I would say is probably the very stony areas, so probably not very good for tents that you need to get pegs in. Freestanding tents where you could peg out the corners with rocks, ideal. Yeah, so but there are plenty of them. It's just bear in mind that if you're needing to get pegs in the ground, you might struggle. But anyway, we headed towards the River Affric car park. The car park, the main car park where the toilet block is, does have signs saying no overnight camping, and people obviously do respect it because there weren't any camper vans there or any tents. So what we did was we headed down to, as you'll see on the video, right by the bridge. There's one little area there by a picnic bench that's away from the no camping signs. So we managed to squeeze both our tents in there. We got there about 5 o'clock. What I would say is it might be a popular spot, especially in the middle of summer. We did about 8 o'clock when we were having our meal. 2 lads came across the bridge and then halfway across saw that we were there where they obviously wanted to be, because they looked very, very, very disappointed. Turned around and walked away. So River Affric, I would say there is only that one pitch where we were. Now, very, very handily, the toilet block remained open all night, throughout the night. So you were able to go to the toilet, a proper toilet, and also go to the toilet in the morning before we set off, and proper brush of the teeth. So yeah, that was handy, because I would have thought they'd have closed that in the evening, but certainly they didn't when we were there. So good spot that was, really good spot, right by the river. Managed to soothe us off to sleep. So that was night 2's camp. And then bright and early in the morning, as I say, up, toilet, wash, bit of a face wash, brush your teeth, and then it was off. Off for day 3, heading for Altbeath Youth Hostel. Okay, day 3, short day, just over 10.5 miles. That took us through Glen Affric, and eventually we arrived at Altbeath Youth Hostel, Scotland's most remote youth hostel, miles and miles and miles from anywhere. So the youth hostel, you can pre-book it. I'm not sure how many people it does hold, but you can pre-book it. You can also turn up, and if it's not full, you can pay to stay in the youth hostel. There's also the option to not stay in the youth hostel, but pitch your tent somewhere close by. Pay £15 and use their facilities, so you can use the toilets, the showers, the kitchen area, and what have you. Or you can pay nothing, and all they ask is you don't pitch too close to the youth hostel. So as you'll see from the video, we were a couple of 100 metres away from the youth hostel, and we chose not to pay because at the end of the day, £15 to use, probably just use the toilet. We had our own stoves, we had our own food, so we deemed it quite a lot of money really just to actually use the toilet. So we chose not to, but they're your options when you get to the youth hostel. They're your 3 or 4 main options really. Speaking to a couple of people, it was freezing in the youth hostel, so it sounded like we might have been warmer outside in our tents. So yeah, but as you say, the options are there, which is really good. So that was Albeth and the end of day 3. Okay, on to day 4. So day 4 took us from Albeth Youth Hostel, and we were heading towards the end of the trail and the village of Morvich. So this slightly longer day than day 3 by about a mile, about 11 and a half miles. Day 4. What a fantastic day, as you'll see on the videos, or as you've seen on the videos. Absolutely stunning. So you leave the youth hostel, you do pass Camban Bothy, so if you did want to extend the 3rd day by another probably 3 or 4 mile, you could head on to the Camban Bothy. Probably Hull sleeps comfortably, probably 6, very uncomfortably, probably 8 to 10. But what I would say is that, to me, I didn't see many decent pitches in and around the Bothy. So I would have thought if you were heading towards the Bothy, you've got to hope that there was room actually inside it. But anyway, that's an option anyway. So yeah, so 11 and a half miles later, we arrive at Morvich in the end of the trail. Now, we were booked in the campsite at Morvich, but first we had to go that little bit extra, about another mile down the road after finishing the trail, back to where we parked the car at the Walker's car park there. So as I say, about a mile. So we got to the car, we dumped the bags, we went back into the Kintail Pitstop, where we had another can of iron brew and another piece of fantastic carrot cake before jumping in the car and driving back to Morvich campsite. Now, I paid, I think it was a £5 to park the car actually on the campsite, which I didn't think was too bad at all really. I think the camping again was, the tent was 13, 14 quid. So I'd say at most, including the car park at the campsite in Morvich, was 18, 20 quid. So fantastic campsite. It's actually caravan and camping club, so it's a very, very good site. Brilliant facilities, absolutely fantastic facilities. Toilets, showers, yeah, the works. Brilliant flat pitch. You can get the pegs in the ground. There's no rocks in the ground. Absolutely fantastic. So being able to have the car right by the tents meant we only need to bring into the tent what we really need, the basics: pillow, sleeping bag, mattress. Everything else stayed in the car. There's not much to eat around there, so what I would say is your only option really, unless you've got your own camping meals, your only option is to go the 10-minute drive down the road to the Kintail Lodge Hotel. That's what we did. We had a fantastic lamb and haggis burger and chips and a couple of pints of cider each. What I will say is very, very nice, very, very expensive. What I've just described there came to this grand total of £84, so £42 each for burger and chips and 2 pints. So yeah, not the cheapest option, but at the end of the day we'd earned it. A cracking walk, we really had earned it. So yeah, absolutely fantastic, and that was the end of the Affric Kintail Way. So to finish off, the Affric Kintail Way, absolutely bloody fantastic. What a stunning trail from start to finish. I would highly recommend for anyone to do it. It's just amazing. Really easy, on good tracks for the majority of the way. Certainly the first 3 days, pretty good. It gets a bit narrow and a bit, but nothing major. Just your normal everyday mountain tracks, really. But absolutely fantastic. And the first 2 days through the forest just build up that excitement for knowing what's to come on days 3 and 4 once you really get into Glen Affric and into the mountains and in the mountains. It's a stunning trail, really easy. I would say highly recommend it to anybody who's wants to do a long distance trail but is a bit apprehensive. What a fantastic starter walk. You've got 2 nights in a campsite, 2 nights wild camping. But even the 2 nights wild camping, you're not out on your own, so to speak, because you've got the road near the Glen Affric car park, and you've got obviously the youth hostel on night 3. We did it over 4 nights. I've seen videos, people doing it over 3. I've seen people doing it over 2. What I would say is doing it over 2, for me, you're just not doing the trail justice. You need to take your time and take it all in. Just batting on and doing that over 2 days, as I said, you're not doing it justice. You need to be taking it all in, as you've seen from the videos. Me and Mossy probably spent more time sat on our arses than we did actually walking, to be honest. Certainly the last, certainly day 3 and 4, it was just, yeah, absolutely fantastic. Definitely highly recommend it. So I hope you found this useful. All the various links I talked about, what 3 words, everything, they've been on screen, but I'll also put them in the links below. Also in the links below the links to Mossy's 2 videos. Go and check them out. Go and give Mossy a subscribe. Absolutely fantastic. Fantastic bloke. Great videos. I'll put the links to my 4 videos. Enjoy them. If you haven't already seen them, please do go and watch them. And if you go and watch them, this will kind of fall into place then. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up here. I've waffled on for far too long. Thanks for watching. Take care. And we'll see you back out in the mountains very, very shortly. All the best.